the one, the only, Ben Sion. Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're doing Maseches Nazir, Daf Mem Ches, number 48. A great share for you today. Talk more about a Nazir and a Kohen Gadol, Tamil and Mason. Not allowed to, but a Mace Mitzvah, yes. We'll explain Eno Ben Sion. What is the idea of a Tamil and Mace Mitzvah? Why is a Mace Mitzvah such a great mitzvah that even a Nazir and Kohen Gadol are Tamil for a Mace Mitzvah? Two different explanations. And based on that, we'll talk about the heter of a Kohen to Tamil for a Zayin Krovim. Is that called Hutra? Or is that called the Chuya? Is that something which is completely permissible? Or really, maybe it's Asr. Nevertheless, Torah recommends to do it. Let's get started over here. Mem Chesed and Al the top will emo. Yesterday we darshaned the pasuk when it comes to the Kohen Gadol. It says La'aviv, right? Even though it said he can't be Matame for anyone, even the Zayin Krovim, it says La'aviv, to tell you that his father he can't be Matame for a Mace Mitzvah, Kohen, a corpse which doesn't have proper burial. It's lying in the middle of the road. It's not going to be buried, so you could be Matame for that. Oli emo, what does that teach me? It's not necessary. We know we can't be Matame for Zayin Krovim. Like Zera Shava, teaching Zera Shava, the Rebbe. Rebbe is teaching the sound. Your Rebbe Omer, Gabi Nazir, Bamosam. Eino Matame, Mitmahul, Lenagayim, Lenigam, Uzivasam. By Nazir it says Bamosam. When they die, specifically when they die. Only a corpse tomb a Nazir can't come in contact with, but he could come in contact with a Msora or a Zav. That he's not Muzar, that he's not warned against coming in contact with. Ve'eli ala b'Nazir. That's a pasuk by Nazir, but Kohen Gadol will be 9. How do we know that's true by Kohen Gadol also? The tumah that he's not allowed to come in contact with is a dead person, but not a Mitzora or a Zav. Amar lo yomar imo b'Kohen Gadol. You don't have to say imo b'Kohen Gadol. She'ein tamar lomar. You don't have to say shreikal v'chomeru. Amay b'makom shekohen hedyo mitmal achiv me'aviv. Ein Kohen Gadol mitmal aviv. When it comes to a Kohen Hedyot, he is Matame, right, for his brother, his paternal brother, right? It happens to be for his maternal brother, he's not, but for his paternal brother, he shares a father with the brother, so then he's Matame. Ein Kohen Gadol mitmal aviv. Kohen Gadol, not only for the brother, but even for the father himself, right? The father is a stronger line of connection than a mother, because a paternal brother, a Kohen Hedyot Matame. A maternal brother is not. Nonetheless, even for his father himself, a Kohen Gadol is not Matame. When it comes to Kohen Hedyot, by a brother that he only shares with a mother, certainly Kohen Gadol is not Matame for his mother herself. If you learn this from logic, why is it necessary to say imo is not Matame? Of course it's not Matame. Kohen Gadol Mufne. The word imo is extraneous. To teach a Gzera Shava. Nemar imo b'Nazir. Nemar imo b'Kohen Gadol. It says both imo by Nazir and Kohen Gadol. Ma imo amor b'Nazir b'mosam eno matame aval mitmah nigam uzivasam. It could come in contact with Masora or Zav. Af imo amor b'Kohen Gadol b'mosam eno mitmah amitmah nigam uzivasam. To tell you that similarly, just like a Nazir, a Kohen Gadol also, he can't come in contact with any corpse tumah unless it's a Mace Mitzvah. However, with Sora and a Zav, he could come in contact, even though both of them are Avatuma. The Zav and Sora are Avatuma, and technically you're not allowed, right? If you touch them, you become a Rishon Latuma, you're not allowed to come in contact with them. That's only that happens to be elsewhere in the Torah. However, when it comes to a Kohen Gadol and Zav, they're not warned against becoming Tameh from them. Eshkechan Kohen Gadol. We found by Kohen Gadol, Nazir Minolan. So we see from a Kohen Gadol, right? We found the Kohen Gadol that he can be Tamei the Mace Mitzvah. Nazir Minolan. Now even Nazir also can be Tamei for Mace Mitzvah. So the Tanya, Kol Yimei Hiziro LaHashem Al Nefesh Mace Lo Yavo. Said by a Nazir. As long as he's a Nazir, he can't come in Tamei with Nefesh Mace. Shomei Ani Afil Nefesh Behema B'Mashma. From the word Nefesh, right, I can deduce even he can't come in contact with the carcass of an animal. The word nefesh is used elsewhere in the Torah to mean an animal. Tamalomar nefesh mace, the extra word mace, lo yavo. Nefesh adam akasim adaber. The Torah adds the word mace to tell you that the only carcass you can't come in contact with is that person. Rabbi Shmuel Omer. Rishmal says, Eino Sarich, you don't need from there. Arei Omer, Lo Yavo Benafshos Hamatam, Lo Yavo Benafshos. It says, Lo Yavo, Lord Dashon Bia. You shouldn't come Bia is going under the oel, under a roof where there's a corpse. Benafshos Hamatamas of Bia, Kasim Medaber. The fact that you use the word Bia, Lo Yavo, right? Corpse tuma transmits tuma. A corpse of a human being transmits tuma through an oel. However, the carcass of an animal does not transmit tuma through an oel. So that's why in Nazir we know it's only talking about a corpse tuma. La'aviv u'le'imo ain't a mitzvah. Then it adds the word la'aviv imo. He's not matama to his father and mother. Mitzvah hu l'meis mitzvah, but he could be tam l'meis mitzvah. So the Gemara says, Ad shal yomar yesh li b'din. If it wouldn't have said this, I could have maybe concluded it logically. Kohen Gadol is Kadosh forever. He's a Kohen forever. A mitzvah l'meis mitzvah. We learned previously, right? Yesterday, at the end of the daf, we learned to keep time in the meis mitzvah. A Nazir she'en kedusha kedusha olam. A Nazir's usually ends unless he's a Nazir olam. And a nishim mitma l'meis mitzvah. Certainly, he can be time in the meis mitzvah. But the Gemara rejects it. Lo, you might as well Kohen Gadol she'ken and maybe carbon al tumas. There's a weakness by a Kohen Gadol. When he is mitame, if he violates this history and becomes tam, he doesn't bring a korban. He just violates a law. Tomer ben Nazir should maybe carbon al tumas. A Nazir has to bring a korban. Whole maybe carbon al tumas, but yitam the meis mitzvah. And therefore, I should deduce maybe he shouldn't be mitame the meis mitzvah. Talmud lomer la'aviv l'imo l'yitama. That's why it adds the words la'aviv l'imo, right? Even though we know previously he can't come in contact with the Zayin Krovim. To tell you la'aviv l'imo is extra to tell you that in certain instances he could become tame, and that's namely for a meis mitzvah. But the Gemara says maybe I'll learn something else. Maybe the reason it has Av Imo is that for his father and mother he can't become Tameh. But he could become Tameh for not Zayin Krovim, for Rechokim, people that are not a Zayin Krovim, even though it's counterintuitive. Maybe that's what the Torah is teaching by Nazir. Kohen Gadol can't be teaching that. By a Nazir, maybe that's what it's teaching. Amar Kal V'chomer, to reject that, we say a Kal V'chomer. Not Kohen Hedyo, Shemitbal Krovin, and Mitbal Shar Mason. Kohen Hedyo, regular Kohen, he could have been Tameh for Zayin Krovin. And for Rechokim, people not Zayin Krovin, he can't become Tameh. Nazir Sheino Mitbal Krovin, but Nazir that we know he can't be Tameh for Krovin. And then Shalai Yitmal Shar Mason. Going from a Kohen Hedyo, certainly he can't be that he could be Tameh for Rechokim. Top of Memchem Amad Beis. How much Tameh Lomer La'avil Imo? Why does it say La'avil Imo? La'avil Imo hu d'lo mitzvah hu meis mitzvah. So therefore, we learn from that pasuk. We conclude from that pasuk that meis mitzvah he could be tameh. Ad shel yomar. So the Brisa continues. Without having said this, yeshli bedin, I could have learned it logically. Never close Kohen Gadol. It says a general prohibition against becoming tameh by Kohen Gadol. It says a kol nafshos meis lo yavo. You shouldn't become tameh. The Nemru close ben Nazir. This is why Nazir is similar also, right? Kol nefesh meis lo yavo. Also a similar pasuk. He can't become tamei at all. Maklalo samuras Kohen Gadol aviv eno mitmal meis mitzvah. Just like by Kohen Gadol, we learned that his father he can't become a tamei, but he could become tamei meis mitzvah. Avkal samuras ben Nazir aviv eno mitmal meis mitzvah. But I can learn similarly a mamatzino, right? It says a klal by Kohen Gadol, and we learned there he can be tamei meis mitzvah. Similarly, also by Nazir. However, we can learn the other way. Nemru calls Kohen Hedyot. By Kohen Hedyot, it also says generally he shouldn't become tamei except for the Zayin Krovim. The Nemru calls Benazir. Malchus Amuras Kohen Hedyot Mitmala Aviv. There he could have been tamei for his father and any of the other Zayin Krovim. Af Klalos Amuras Benazir Mitmala Aviv. So therefore, I can conclude similarly by Nazir also he couldn't be tamei for his Krovim. That's why it says by Nazir Mitma. Father and mother, Zayin Krovim he can't. Meis mitzvah he could. So the Gemara questions how many boy lay lomar shein mitma la'aviv la'aviv. Right? We need the pasuk to teach me that he's not mitame for his father, right? Because it doesn't say, as opposed to Kohen Gadol, right? Where it says he can't be mitame for the Zayin Krovim, right? It doesn't say that by Nazir. So you need la'aviv at least one pasuk for the goof of the pasuk to tell me that he can't be mitame for Zayin Krovim. El la'aviv lomar shein mitma la'aviv la'echav. Right. The pasuk continues. La'aviv l'imo la'achav la'achoso. La'achiv, his brother, he's not ena matame ha'matame meis mitzvah mitma. Therefore, you learn from that, from the fact that his brother he can't be matame, which is one of the Zayin Krovim. For meis mitzvah, he could. Ul'ima, and what do you do with the word imo? La'aviv l'imo. L'imo is extra. L'gzera shavak, the Rebbe. Right. It's teaching. Rebbe's teaching. Gzera shavak we learn. Right. To be used to teach me by Kohen Gadol that by Nazir you can't be matame for corpse tuma, but you could be matame. You could come in contact with a zav or a mesorah. Ulachoso. the fourth extra word, lachos, his sister, right? Obviously, if he can't mitame for his others, for Zayin Krovim, his sister also. So what do you mean? Look at the Tanya, teach me a difference. Tanya, lachos, why does it say lachos? This is not even talking about a Kohen or a Nazir. It's talking about a regular person. He's on his way to Shatkar and Pesach on Yud Dalet Nisan, or the 8th day to give a bris milah to his son. Right? One of his Zayin Krovim died. Yachal Yitma. You might think he should not do the mitzvah of milah, or not do the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, and go ahead and bury the person. Amart lo yitama. That's why it says lo yitama. Go ahead and do the Korban Pesach and do the bris milah, because those are more severe, because you don't do those, you get chayav karis, as opposed to the isser of as opposed to becoming tamei. Yachal lo yitma l'meis mitzvah. You might think similarly also he shouldn't go back from Korban Pesach and milah in order to bury a meis mitzvah. That one over lachoso in a mitma, right? He doesn't go back. Lachoso really means over here, right? When you're doing the Korban Pesach or the bris milah. Al meis mitzvah mitma. However, if there's a meis mitzvah, someone who's not buried, you take care of him first, and then if there's time left, then you do a bris milah or Pesach. And if you're not able to do a bris milah or Pesach, then you lose out on it. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Rabbi Akiva darshans the pasuk a little different. Nafshos, it says by Nazir nafshos, elu rechokim. Those are the people that are not your Zayin Krovim. Meis, elu akrovim. Not the word nafshos really. A lot of the Gersos change the word nefesh. It doesn't say the word nafshos. It says the word nefesh. Call nefesh meis. Meis, elu akrovim. That's a reference. According to Rabbi Akiva, there's actually befurish in the pasuk about Nazir to tell you the Krovim, the Zayin Krovim, is not metame. La'aviv ulimo. Opposed to the previous time, I learned it out la'achiv. He learned it out la'aviv imo. Teach me the meis mitzvah he could. Similarly, by a kohen gadol la'echav. Why I said la'echav? Shemei a kohen gadol who Nazir. Even he's both a kohen gadol. He's a kohen gadol, and he took Nazir upon himself. La'achav ain't a mitma meis mitzvah. Nonetheless, his brother is not metame, but he is metame meis mitzvah, even though he's violating two kedushos, the kedusha of a Nazir and the kedusha of a kohen gadol. Lachoso, his sister, like we learned before, not talking about a kohen gadol or a Nazir, or anyone who's doing the mitzvah. Nonetheless, you go back for meis mitzvah, you would preclude yourself from doing Korban Pesach and bris milah. Rabbi Akiva, according to Rabbi Akiva, right, he learned everything. Where does he learn Rebbe's teaching from? According to the first teaching, I believe it was Rabbi Shmuel. So he had Rebbe's teaching to teach you what? Teach you that, right, that we learn from Nazir to Kohen Gadol, that just like a Nazir, he can be mitame for a mitzvah or a zav. Similarly, Kohen Gadol also. Where does he learn that from? Once you know the word echav teaches me, even if he's a Kohen Gadol and a Nazir, he comes down and says, Mali Kohen Gadol l'chude, Mali Nazir Kohen Gadol. What does it matter if he's a Kohen Gadol or a Nazir and Kohen Gadol, right? So therefore, obviously, one of the psukim is extraneous. It says la'avul imo, right? So one teaches me the time of the mitzvah. So the other one, right? One is talking about a Nazir, and one is talking about the imo is extra, right? Imo really, even though before we said la'aviv imo to teach me the mitzvah is okay. Really now the Gemara is differentiating. La'aviv is sufficient enough to teach me mitzvah, so yes, right? And then l'imo is coming to teach me Rebbe. According to Rishmal, Kohen Gadol who Nazir minalde. According to Rishmal, the first way of learning the psukim, he didn't learn out, right? He didn't talk about this case where he's both a Nazir and a Kohen Gadol. How does he know that if you're right? He said if you're a Nazir or a Kohen Gadol, one or the other, then you're time of the mitzvah. What if you're both of them? So my answer came with the Shara Rahman Achad Lav Gabi Mitzvahs. Once the Torah already said either by Nazir or Kohen Gadol, it allowed you to mitame from mitzvahs. So Mali Chad Lav Mali Train Lavin. Logically, it shouldn't make a difference. There's one lav or two lav, and it shouldn't make a difference. Achoso lamol. Why do you need the pasuk achoso? Once we're saying that for two lavim, there's no difference between one lav and two lav, so maybe I would obviously know that kares also, even though it's an essay with yeshbo kares more severe, right? I would know also from meis mitzvah, you violate an essay, you don't do the bris milah or the Korban Pesach, which makes you chayav kares, but right, like we said, what's there a lav and two lav? What's there a lav and an essay sheshmo kares? And where it says no, Sakal Dachamina Kishar Rahman al Meis Mitzvah Nazir of Kohen the Isra Lavi. That's the Isra Lavu of Almila Pesach the kares. Kares is maybe more severe. That's different than just one lav and two lav in the same exact isurim. But kares is a more severe law. Lo yitma lemeitz mitzvah kamash malan. Therefore, it teaches you know that you don't bring the Karban Pesach, you don't do the bris milah, and you're matam the mitzvah. And in that situation. That's the conclusion of today's share. Stay tuned for Ian with Ben Sion, where talk about a lot of these halachas over here. A Kohen is matam, regular Kohen Hedyo is matame for a Zayin Krovim. Is that considered to be hutra or dechuya? Right. Basically, the mitzvah of burying someone, the mitzvah of pura, the essay, is dolche the losa essay. Seemingly, that's the way it works. It's dolche the losa essay. If Kohen Gadol doesn't work, the Torah says nonetheless. For some reason, there's no essay dolche losa over there. Similarly, by Nazir also, there's no essay dolche by the Zayin Krovim. For Meis Mitzvah, though, everything is waived. So I'm going to discuss 4 different halachas over here. We'll learn about which is hutra, which is dechuya. We'll talk about hutra and dechuya. There's 2 different ways of understanding essay dolchalosa. Say, is the isser completely removed, or do we say that nonetheless there's still an isser over here, although the Torah recommends you do it and it pushes it away? Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.